Good evening, everyone. I'm Shikha and I'm from UNICEF. And today I'm going to talk about new education policy 2020, which has been implemented very recently. First, we're going to talk about the new education policy and the policy that were there previous to this policy. So, basically, education policy in India overall. And then we're going to talk about the features and the reform that this policy has suggested, the new policy that has come and approved by government in the month of July, very recently. So, we're going to talk about the feature of this policy and the reform that is suggested by in this policy, and then we're going to talk about what are the key takeaways that we can implement in our model school or school of excellence that we are leader of. So the session will be in English and Hindi both. In case you have any problem in understanding anything that I'm speaking, please let me know. You can raise your hand, you can type on the chat box, or you can speak also. So and it will be an interactive session. I don't want to just keep talking about things, but I want the other participants also to say whatever. I mean, if you have any questions, if you have any doubt, or if you have any feedback or anything, just do share it in the session so that we can make it as interactive as possible. So I'll start with the session. I have a small PPT through which I will take this session. So I'll start with the presentation directly, and but before that, I wanted to hear from you, from one or two persons, that what are your expectations from this session, so that I can address those expectations also. So if one or two of you can share your expectations from the session, then I can probably change the delivery of the session according to your expectations. Anyone? कोई भी बताना चाहेगा कि उनका इस सेशन से क्या एक्सपेक्टेशन है? Any participant? Because it's very important that I understand that what you're expecting from this session.
We want to know whatever is new in this policy.
Sorry sir, आपकी वॉइस क्रैक हो रही है, विनोद सर.
Yeah. Hello. We want to know whatever good qualities are there in new education policy.
What are the? Sir, can you write your question in the
Hello.
chat box? We are unable to hear you properly. Or you can text me separately. I'll take up that question.
What are the good qualities of new education policy? You want to know about?
So you want good points in the policy, if I have understood you correctly.
What are the good qualities? What are the qualities which makes it better than the present policy?
Okay. So basically a comparison that what was not there in the previous policies and what are there in the new policy. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vinod sir, for sharing your expectation from the session. Any other participant who would like to share their expectations from the session? Okay, then we'll move to the session. We'll start the session. Can you run the PPT?
Yeah, sure.
So I'll use a presentation to deliver this session, and after the session I will share the presentation with all of you, and also try to make one pager note for all the participants, just to understand the new education policy and the point that Vinod sir has raised, that what are the features that were not there in the previous policy and what is the new feature in this policy. So I will also share one document after the session is over. So today we going to just talk about the new education policy 2020 and what does it say about school education, because we all are concerned about school education. There are other sections also in the new education policy 2020, but we're going to talk specifically about school education. So this is a document of National Education Policy 2020. This can be downloaded through the MHRD website, and I will be sharing this document with you all on the WhatsApp group. It's a 66-page crisp document, which you can go through whenever you have time. And the section that is pertaining to us is a full education, which is close to 30-35 pages section only. So this document can be downloaded from the MHRD website, or I will also be sharing it on the group. So there are only, I mean, if I talk about today's session, there are two objectives of this session. A, to understand the reforms suggested in the National Education Policy 2020, and how some of them, or how they can be implemented in our school to contribute or to ensure better learning opportunities for all children. So these are the two objectives. First, we'll understand the policy, and then we will discuss the key takeaways from this policy for our school, the School of Excellence. आई मीन जो जिसके आप लीडर भी हैं, सो वी गोइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट व्हाट आर सम ऑफ द रिफॉर्म्स दैट वी कैन इम्प्लीमेंट इन आवर schools. So I'll move forward. Yeah. So first we'll talk about a little bit about the history, like education policy in history, like why, what was the need for a policy, education policy in India, uh, when was the first policy drafted in India, what happened after that, so on so forth. So basically, after independence, a Kothari Commission was set up by the government of India to look at the reforms that is needed in the education sector. And Kothari Commission suggested the development of national policy on education, so that education can be given to all children, like without any discrimination, in a very standardized manner. It should not happen that in Odisha the education is given in some other ways, in Chhattisgarh it is being given in some other way. So to bring some uniformity, Kothari Commission suggested that we should have a national policy on education. It is basically a guideline which shows the path of education. So the first national policy on education was framed in 1968, right after, Kothari Commission gave their suggestion. Right after four years, the first national policy on education was approved by government of India. And in 1968, so the structure in education that we're following right now, 10 plus 12, is a gift given by first national education policy. The second national education policy, so basically the policy is generally like being modified, or or a new edition happen after every 20-25 years. So after 1968, the second national policy on education was approved by government of India, in which the special focus was given that irrespective of any discrimination, the education, the quality education will be assured to all children. Like, and special focus was given to the marginalized section of the society. So it includes scheduled caste, it includes scheduled tribes, it includes other backward classes, women, girl child. It also includes children who have special need. So this was a focus of the second national policy on education. Some modifications were made in the second national policy on education. Some modifications were made in 1992, where where the focus shifted on the quality enhancement. So we said that in the beginning we have set up the structure, we have 10 plus 2 ka structure, and we have also ensured that this would be the structure in which children would be getting the education. The structure was ready, the teachers were ready. Then in 1992 we start talking about the quality enhancement, that the teachers are there, the children are there, the school is there, but now let's focus on the quality enhancement, let's focus on the quality of education. So that was a new reform that 1992 modification brought into second policy. And after 3 decades, almost like 3 decades, like after 34-35 years, like we took so many years to basically make more changes in our policy. So it was basically a sort of a long due thing. I mean, in 2014-15, The government trying implementing a new education policy, but they couldn't do so. And in 2020, finally, we got the third policy on education, national policy on education. So after 3 decades, this policy was implemented and accepted by government of India in the month of July only, very recently. So to answer Vinod sir's query that what was not there in the earlier two policy and what is there in this policy, so there are many things. There are many things that were not there in the earlier policy and that is there in this policy. So if I talk about the structure, जो structure हम लाए थे first policy में 1968 में, उस structure को हम change करने की बात कर रहे हैं न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में. स्ट्रक्चर था 10+2 एंड हम लोग अब स्ट्रक्चर की बात कर रहे हैं कि हम प्री स्कूल से ही स्टार्ट करेंगे. हम आंगनवाड़ी से 3 साल की उम्र से ही हम प्री स्कूल एजुकेशन स्टार्ट करेंगे और 12th तक का वो स्ट्रक्चर रहेगा. सो अभी तक का स्ट्रक्चर था कि 1 to 5 में बच्चे पढ़ते थे, फिर 6 to 8 जाते थे एंड देन 9 to 12 जाते थे. अब वो स्ट्रक्चर चेंज होके हम लोग फर्स्ट प्री स्कूल और आंगनवाड़ी में 3 साल के लिए फोकस देंगे. 3 to 6 years वहां पे फोकस देंगे एंड देन वी हैव 2 years फॉर गेटिंग द स्टूडेंट रेडी फॉर द getting ready for the school, that is grade 1 and 2. And then we will have preparatory stage where we will prepare the students for the main curriculum, which is 3 to 5. So we have divided primary school into two sections now, 1 to 2 and 3 to 5. And we have also brought preschool education under the Department of Education now. And then we have 6 to 8 very similar जो अभी भी है, and then 9 to 12 which is very similar जो अभी भी है. But now in 9 to 12 we are also talking about multidisciplinary curriculums. We are not saying that कि आपने stream choose कर लिया and then based on the stream you will be taught science, arts, humanities and commerce. Now what this policy offers? This policy offers multidisciplinary opportunities for children. For instance, if I take humanities as my main subjects, I am still I still have opportunity to take subjects of science or commerce or accounting or any other subject. So this is a very big change. So structure wise ये बहुत बड़ा change हमारी country में आने वाला है. अभी पेपर पे आया है, बहुत जल्दी फील्ड पे भी इम्प्लीमेंट होगा ऐसा मानना है. लेट्स सी व्हेन इट्स गोइंग टू गेट इम्प्लीमेंटेड. तो ये इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की बात हो गई. उसके बाद it has also proposed lot of changes in ECCE curriculum. So early childhood education curriculum में भी they have suggested a lot of changes and they are also suggesting that this should come to the education department now. The NCERT should formulate a curriculum for early childhood education. So this is also another big change which was not there in the previous policy. Likewise, there are many changes. Vinod, I will come to that when we talk about the features of the policy. So now we have understood a bit of the history of education policy in India. So this is a third policy that has come into place. Now we'll talk about this policy specifically. So this policy has 4 sections, broad 4 sections, and this 4 section is all covered in this document, which is of 66 pages document. First sections talk about school education, which is relevant to us, which we are going to talk about today. Second section is higher education, which talks about college and how education needs to be given in college and after school, after the child passes the school education, and so on so forth. And what are the changes that is required at the higher education level? And the third section is other key areas which talk about adult education, which talks about professional education, which talks about use of technology and integrating technology in the education system, and also talk about online digital education and ensuring equitable use of technology. Equitable मतलब रूरल में जैसे हम यूज कर पा रहे हैं, अर्बन में भी उतना इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हो, so equitable तरीके से हम टेक्नोलॉजी यूज कर पाए. So the other key areas of focus talks about that. And the last is making it happen. Making it happen basically talk about how are we going to implement all of this. Okay, there are so many reforms this talk about in school education, higher education, and also adult education, and using technology, so on and so forth. How are we going to implement that? So this section, the four sections, talk about the implementation part, the financing part, the strengthening the central advisory board of education. So the last section talks about that. But in today's session, we're only going to focus on the first part, which is school education, which is basically which is very relevant for us because this model school or school of excellence going to start in all the districts of Chhattisgarh very soon, as soon as the COVID situation gets normal and as soon as we get the go ahead to open up the schools. We are going to start working in a manner that shows that these are the schools of excellence. So we're going to focus on school education only in this session. Any doubt so far? Any questions? Anything? ये देखो जी. Any doubt, participants? Okay, so
No, ma'am.
yes, please tell me. Okay, so if there's no doubt, uh, we'll talk about school education reforms that are being suggested in this policy. So the first reform that is being suggested in this policy is universalization of early childhood care education, the thing that I was talking right now. So ECCE में वो पॉलिसी बोलते हैं कि अब दिस विल बी पार्ट ऑफ द एजुकेशन डिपार्टमेंट, नॉट द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ वुमेन एंड चाइल्ड डिपार्टमेंट. So NCERT will be is being given this humongous task of formulating a curriculum for early childhood care education, and this curriculum will be basically based on will be based will be activity and play based flexible curriculum that will be implemented across country. So there will be standardized curriculum. Till now there was no standardized curriculum. Each state was responsible of formulating their own early childhood care education curriculum, and some states like Haryana, who did not even have the curriculum 2 3 years back, so and each states were doing things differently. But in the policy says that we should have a universal curriculum so that we can decide that what children between the age of 3 to 6 should be learning. So we are going to fix the learning outcomes for 3 to 6 year age group also. This is what is being suggested in this policy. The second suggestion that this not suggestion, the second reform that this policy talks about is universalization of education from preschool to secondary level with 100% gross enrollment ratio. As we all know that there are a lot of dropout that happens after each level. For instance, from primary to upper primary there will be some level of children who will be dropped out, and especially after 8 there are a lot of children who dropped out from school, and likewise in the upper grades too. This policy talks about that we should try to achieve gross enrollment gross enrollment ratio by 2030. आई मीन जितने बच्चे प्राइमरी अभी प्राइमरी में पढ़ रहे हैं उतने ही बच्चे अपर प्राइमरी में हो, अपर प्राइमरी से आगे 9 to 12 में भी उतने ही बच्चे हों. So this we going to ensure by 2030. So this is a humongous task that this policy talks about, that we need to make sure that each child step into the other class without being dropped out or without being left out. The third reform that it talks about, which I have already shared, that initially we were currently not initially currently we are having 10+2 system, which will be replaced by 5+3+4. So what does it mean? So it means that this policy suggests that between 3 to 8 age groups. So it is being said this, these are the foundational years for children. So children will be lot of focus will be given to basic literacy and basic numeracy and getting them ready for the school and the curriculum. And 8 to 11, which is basically 8 to 11-year children, which is basically three grade onwards, will be the preparatory stage, and then the middle and the secondary. And like I said, it also talks about that 3 to 5 year age group children will be part of Department of Education, not Ministry of Child and Women Development. So the education part will be taken care by Department of Education. Till now, it was taken care by Ministry of Women and Child Development. So the next reform that it talks about is it gives a lot of emphasis on foundational literacy and numeracy. There are many survey which shows that children are passing grades year on year, but they are not learning well. Some of these surveys are ASER, National Achievement Survey, and many more state-led assessment have shown a similar pattern that fifth grade children are unable to read basic standard 2 text. For instance, in Chhattisgarh, there are about 50% of children who are in grade 5 but still unable to read grade 2 text. So now the child is passing the grades year on year, but the learning deficits is increasing also because he has not been able to acquire the foundational skills, the foundational literacy and the numeracy skills. So this policy talks gives a lot of emphasis on building foundational literacy and numeracy skills, which were not explicitly given in any of the previous policy. They of course talked about the quality enhancement and all of that, but specifically they never mentioned that those policy has no mention about putting focus on foundational literacy and numeracy. This policy also set up a target. This is very important. So they have set up a target by 2025. We will going to achieve universal foundational literacy and numeracy skills. So this is very important. So as a principal of a school of excellence, it is your responsibility also to ensure that children who are coming in your schools they achieve the foundational literacy and numeracy skills by 2025. The fifth reform that it talks about, the major reform, one of the major reform, it talks about the vocational, introducing vocational education from sixth grade onwards. Initially, it was, vocational training, vocational education are generally being introduced after 9, 10, and so on so forth. But it gives a lot of emphasis. This policy gives a lot of emphasis on introducing vocational education starting from grade 6th. It says that the children should able to do not basic vocational education, whatever, in whichever field they're interested in from the early year itself. For instance, if I am interested in learning plantation, gardening, or carpentry and things like that, so I should get opportunity from my early years onwards. um, the another reform which is very instrumental in nature and also a lot of people are debating about is the last point. It says that medium of instruction at least up to grade 5 should be in mother tongue or the regional language, and no particular language should be imposed on any student. In this direction, I'm very happy to share that in this direction Chhattisgarh government has already started doing lot of work. Many research shows that children learn better in their own language. So if I'm a child and if I'm stepping into school at grade 1, and if I don't know Hindi and I speak Gondi or Halbi or any other language at my home, and if the teacher speaks some other language in the school, for instance, the teacher speaks Hindi in the school, I will not be able to engage with learning. For instance, if we take example of this session, if I conduct the session in Uriya or some other language which you are not familiar with, you will not be able to understand any of the concept that we are trying to understand in this session. So likewise, this policy put a lot of emphasis on bringing mother tongue as a medium of instruction at least till grade 5, and it also says that till 8th grade this practice should remain in the classroom. So you slowly take the child from mother tongue to the school language. You don't do it either this or that. So this is the another major reform that it talks about. So another reform that it talks about shifting this rote learning culture to basically the experiential learning. So what is experiential learning? It's basically that comes from the experience. So it basically talks about the practical and application based knowledge. So they says that enough is happened. I mean, people, students are just mugging up things, and when it comes to application, they're unable to apply that knowledge. So it's very important that we make this shift. We make this shift very smoothly. So it basically hit to the current practice of rote learning and rote teaching to be candid with you. So they say that enough has happened. Now we should move towards application based teaching. So it talks about that. Then it also gives lot of importance to mathematical thinking from grade 6 onwards. It also talks about coding and how it helps your brain to expand and to think more critically, and how it helps your brain to 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 ask more questions, to think beyond what is given in the textbooks, to critically ask question, and to have the discovery sort of a mindset. So it pays a lot of attention. It pays a lot of attention on mathematical thinking, developing mathematical thinking from sixth grade onwards. It's not necessary that you want to do it after sixth grade onwards only. This can be started in the early years also. Another major reform that it talks about is about assessment. So right now the assessment is happening in a way that we use assessment to sort of to pass or fail the student, that इसको आता है इसको नहीं आता है, basically we do that only. But assessment was never meant for that. Assessment was always meant to give feedback to the teacher. So whatever teacher has taught, you assess in the student and see whether they have understood those concepts or not. So it's basically a feedback mechanism for teacher, but it was never been used as a feedback mechanism. It was always used to say ये बच्चे को आता है ये नहीं आता है. So this policy talks about assessment in a broader context. It says that the child should not only be assessed by teacher, it should also be assessed by himself or herself. It should also be assessed by other teachers, and it should also he or she should also be assessed by other students, so that we can have the holistic view of his or her progress. And it also talks about a progressive report card for each child, not in terms of numbers only, but in terms of what the child has achieved every year, so that we can make a trajectory for the child, that what he has learned in grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, so on and so forth. So it brings lot of reforms in the way assessments are being implemented till now. So this is one of the major area where we can do lot of work. Another thing is, of course, they set up a target for themselves that all teachers should be prepared to bring these reforms in the assessment culture by 2023. So we only have, this year is almost gone. So we only have 2 years to build our teacher capacity to understand these reforms, and after understanding the reform, to practice these reforms, and also make assessment as a tool to get the feedback on the teaching learning methodologies. Uh, Again, it also recognizes that we have lots of curriculum. We over expect from children in terms of curriculum, and therefore children are unable to perform a lot of times. So it also talks about reduction in curriculum to the core concepts. So they're saying that there is a need to reduce the curriculum, and we should stick to the core concepts only, and we should not overburden the children. This has been mentioned in many research papers also, that in India, students are overburdened with the expectations of curriculum. Not only students, but teachers are also overburdened. Whenever we go to school, visit any school, the teachers say that कि curriculum खत्म करना है, अभी हम इस पार्ट पे पहुंच गए हैं, इतना पार्ट बाकी है, कैसे होगा ये? So it is very important we make this thinking change, that it is not the curriculum that you need to teach, it's a core concept that you need to teach, and therefore there is a there is a need of the hour to reduce the curriculum. And the curriculum should be activity based, as I said, application based, knowledge based, and it should it should build the students practical and application base, not mugging up the things. So this is also talked about in the policy, and it also talks about it. This policy recognize the pressure that students in grade 10th and 12th takes, because of the board pressure and because of the fear that it has been created around the board examination, and because board examination is a very high stake exam and things like that. So this policy talks about that students should be given enough chance in grade 10th and 12th also. So there will be modular exams. What does it mean? Basically, is that you take the exams in different modules. You will not only get one opportunity, you will get two opportunities to give this exam. And also the structure of the paper, it also suggests some changes in the structure of the paper. They say we should not only ask subjective question, we should also include some objective questions, so that we can reduce the pressure that it gives to the students. So these are the changes that they are suggesting for the board examination, so that we can we can make it look that it's not a very high stake examination, and children can give examination without any fear. There are four more reforms which I would like to talk in this session, and after that we will move to what we can do as a participant for our schools, because it's very important that we should not only understand the theory, but we should also understand what are the things that are doable, that we can do when this session is over, and how we can do it, and how can we ensure from all this reform, how can we ensure that we are giving good quality education to all the students who are coming to our schools. So four more reforms that I would like to highlight. One more reform that it talks about is the national professional standard for teachers. So they're saying that not only we will set up the standards for students, we will also set up the standards for teachers, because it's very important that teachers keeps learning and continuously engaged in the professional learning. So NCRT and NCTE have given this humongous task of formulating these standards, and this policy also recognize that we have close to 2 crore children who are out of school, and it is very important that we bring back this 2 crore students back to school, and the target for this is fixed by 2030. So I am sure जहाँ पे आपके स्कूल होंगे वहां पे भी बहुत सारे बच्चे होंगे आसपास जो आउट ऑफ स्कूल होंगे. So it is very important for us to identify those schools and to bring them back to the school education, so that they can also get the equal opportunities. These are also the marginalized or disadvantaged section of the children. So it's very important we bring them back to the school education and have a thorough plan for them, because they've been out of the school for X number of years. It could be 1 year, it could be 2 years, it could be 3 years. So it's very important that we also make a plan that how are we going to bridge the years that he has not been in the school. Um, it also set up a target for themselves, like this education policy also set up a target for the education department, that each child who is coming out of the school should learn at least one vocational skill, at least like minimum one vocational skill के साथ हर बच्चा स्कूल से निकले जब वो 12th clear करे. So this is also an outcome that this policy has set up for the government schools and the private schools. This policy is meant for both kind of schools, for all kinds of schools, government, private, aided, non-aided, every school. एंड देन लास्ट में ये पॉइंट रखा है, बट ये लास्ट का पॉइंट नहीं, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है दैट दिस पॉलिसी टॉक्स अ लॉट अबाउट टीचर, how we need to focus on teacher are the one teachers are the one who are responsible for for giving the quality education to the children. So it is very important that we pay a lot of attention to teacher recruitment, to their training processes. It talks about that our recruitment processes and the training is not, it needs to rectified, and it requires a lot of correction. And it also discourage harmful practices like frequent transfers and giving responsibility other than teaching to teachers. And so it also it is a very realistic policy in the sense that it talks a lot about the real problems that is there on the ground, because in day to day life we talk about it कि टीचर का रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी अभी इलेक्शन में लगा दिया है, अभी अभी इस इमरजेंसी सिचुएशन में लगा दिया, अभी उस इमरजेंसी सिचुएशन में लगा दिया, बट इन द पॉलिसी डॉक्यूमेंट वी हार्डली सी those real real phase or realization. So in this document it do accept that teachers have been assigned many responsibilities other than teaching, and it do hamper the teaching learning outcomes, and it do hamper the quality of education in the school. So it is very important for the state and center to recognize these practices and also to stop these practices. And it also pays lot of attention to the continuous professional development opportunities for teachers and principal. I mean, the world is changing, the need of the world is changing. So it is very important that the teachers are understanding the need of the world and also adapting the changes and also acquiring the skills which are needed for this time, for this century, for this 21st century. So it's very important that they keep upgrading their knowledge, they keep getting opportunity for their own professional growth. I mean, once I become a teacher, that I mean, my journey should not complete there, should not stop there. It's basically a milestone that I have achieved. After that, there's so much that a teacher should be learning throughout his or her tenure as a teacher. So these are the main features of national education policy in terms of school education, with respect to school education, and we are going to talk only specific to school education only. So now I would like to ask the participants that do you have any questions, any suggestion, or anything that you want to ask about the feature of this policy with respect to school education? Vinod sir, did I answer your question? Any doubt or any feedback or anything that the participants want to say? Any participant? We will move forward after
Even
hearing from you,
every
because it's very important that I get feedback so that I can change the delivery according to the feedback.
no doubt, the new education policy is far better than the previous one. But doubt comes when we are now to adopt the new policy of 5+3+3+4.
Right, right.
So my question is that in first time a child of 3 year old will come to school, what would be the ratio of children and teacher, children and teacher in the class one? Uh,
Sorry, sir, can you repeat your question because we are unable to
the
hear you
proper
properly?
infrastructure should be.
If I have understood you correctly, you are asking if the child is coming to school in grade 1, what teacher is expected to do with the child, right?
We should implement the new education policy. Without infrastructure, without pre-planning, it is doubtful that such a policy will be successful, because policy is no doubt very best, far better than the before. As we see at present time, there is one teacher is school, two teacher is school. We cannot provide proper human resources and infrastructure to our schools. If the matter will be the same in future for
Right,
the new education policy, we
right.
should we should prepare proper infrastructure and human resources also.
Hmm.
Otherwise, the
Definitely.
situation will be worst.
Right,
If
sir.
3 year child will come to school,
Hmm.
how the teacher will manage?
Right. Thank you.
There
Thank
should be
you.
sufficient human resources as well as well developed infrastructure for the children.
Hmm. Right.
Only after this,
So,
only after this policy will be successful. For
right.
what we
Right. So I'll also
in schools there should be a schooled painter or tailor or mason, plumber, barber. Only after such trained people train the teachers, train the students.
right,
So
sir.
before taking any step, we should develop our infrastructure completely.
Right. Thank you so much, Vinod sir, for raising such a serious and important question. Uh, uh, this is a national education policy, and I would like to
Okay, man. Thank you.
yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing such an important concern. And we totally agree with you. Without having infrastructure support, we won't be able to, as a school principal or school teacher, we won't be able to deliver which is been written in this policy. So you put it very correctly. So this policy also talks about implementation and also talks about the resources that schools needed and a lot of work. I'm happy to share that lot of work, lot of consultation work has already started happening at the state level on how this policy going to get implemented on ground. But having said that, it's a policy, it's a guiding document. It's not a act in nature. So even if governments, in state, even if state government or government of India, uh, whatever they have said in this policy, if they don't implement any of these points, we cannot take them, we cannot hold them accountable. As you said rightly, that there are many things that were written in the previous policies also. For instance, this mother tongue, medium of instruction should be mother tongue. It has been said in previous policies also, but it did not get implemented. This is because this is just a policy which gives the intent of the government what they want to do, but it's not something that we can hold them accountable. Like right to education, in right to education the child gets the right. If the government is unable to provide those right to the children or to the families, they can hold the they can hold the government accountable for that. So it's definitely not the act, it's just a vision document. But having said all of that, I must say that in Chhattisgarh, in other states, the consultation work has started happening on how and what are the reforms that we can implement and how we are going to implement, and what are the resources that we needed from state and center, and from civil society organizations. So these are the development that is happened after this policy been implemented. This policy has been implemented very recently. It got implemented towards the end of July only. So it's very soon to say, but I, like you, I also have my reservation in terms of implementation. It talks about a lot of nice things, it talks about a lot of relevant things, but how all of this going to unfold on the field, it's still a, still something that we need to, we will witness it in the coming days, coming years. So let's move to the point. The next part of the session is that, as a principal of this school of model school or school of excellence, what you, me, and the teachers can do. Because of course we need infrastructure, but beyond infrastructure, there are certain things that we can do, and we should do it well before the schools will reopen. So if I put myself in your place or in your shoes or in a teacher's shoes, I feel this is the best time. The schools are closed. We are getting time, and it's not likely to be open till December, if I'm not wrong. The school is not going to get open till December 2020 because of the COVID-19. And so this time gives a perfect opportunity to develop a robust plan for our school to ensure that all children get best of the education. So this is a perfect time for us to do the planning part and also to build our own skills that is needed to impart that perfect or good or better education to all children. So if I would have been at your shoe or if I would have been a principal of one of these schools, so there are few things that I would have done. And this is something that these are few suggestions that you all can think, which do not require a lot of resources in terms of financial resources, in terms of infrastructure resources. So first thing is, I mean, we it's very important that we make a thorough plan that how a child of age 3 to 18, what I mean, how can we make this transition smooth for all children. I mean, right now we still have this 10 plus 2 ka structure, and in 10 plus 2 ka structure, a lot of children are unable to make the smooth transition between primary to upper primary and upper primary to higher secondary schools. So how do we make it smooth for all children? How do we integrate learning for all children? So this is something that we can do. And school of excellence, as I have heard, and I can, if I'm right, then this is a school from grade 1 to 12. So we have greater opportunity to link learning from 1 to 12. So it should not happen that in children grade 1 learning something else, and in grade 5 they'll of course there will be, the concept will be different and things like that, but there has to be a smooth trajectory of learning for all children, and it should happen in a very smooth manner. I mean, it should not happen in the destructive ways. As a principal, I feel that as a principal, you are the head of the institution, so you can play a lot of critical roles in ensuring better teaching learning processes in the classroom. So I have learned recently, I have got to know recently that in many of these schools teachers have been recruited or selected, and in some schools the process is ongoing. So if once the selection is over, we can assess all our teachers and see, we can also assess all our teachers to understand their teaching learning methodology. And if some teachers are not up to the mark, this is a great opportunity that we can build those gaps. So for instance, if I am a teacher in your school and my teaching learning processes are not very effective, so probably you can give me an opportunity by club, by making by by taking SCRT help, by taking help from other teacher or by yourself, to improve my teaching learning processes. So it's very important that as a principal of the school, we build a culture of learning in the campus, not only for children but for teachers as well. So this is something that will not require infrastructure resources or any other resources. Basically, we assess each other, we find the gaps, and we understand these are the gaps that needs to be addressed, and we help each other to address those gaps. uh, then then we need to focus a lot on building teacher capacity on understanding the state learning outcomes in and also how we can, how we can understand assessment, how we can use assessment for better learning, how we can understand this new education policy, what are the points that we can implement in our school together. So it's very important that we build this full-fledged roadmap for myself, for teachers, for students who are going to come to our school most likely in end of December 2020 or whenever they come back. So this is something that we can do without having much resources. There are few more things that we can do before schools will reopen. We can help our teachers and ourselves to understand this literacy and basic numeracy challenges in our school, so we can map out the students, like from which students locality we can understand their learning outcome from previous report cards, and we can make a strategy to to make sure that when students will come back to school or when they are at home also, how do we ensure that they're learning these basic skills, basic literacy and numeracy skills for the primary grades, and children who have come to the upper primary and other grades who have not achieved these skills, how do we ensure that they also get opportunity when they are not in school to gain these competencies at home? So we can give lot of online and offline opportunity to these kids. We can ask our teachers to identify students who need more help, who need some moderate help, and who basically need less help, so that we can strategize how are we going to give our inputs to each of the student. uh, we can also do a lot of work around training our teachers to teach in mother tongue language in the classroom once the school will reopen. But once the school will reopen, the teacher has to do things, but right now the teacher is not taking classes in a physical manner. So there's a lot of things the teachers can do to prepare themselves when the school will reopen, and here the principal can play an instrumental role. They can provide them those opportunity with the help of SCRT, with the district administration, with the help of civil society like UNICEF, Language Learning Foundation, Room to Read, etc. So you can bring those resources to the teacher and help the teacher to build those capacities that is needed when the school will reopen. And we can also do a lot of work in collaboration with the local authorities. As I said, that there will be X amount of X number of children who are dropped out in the locality where our school is. So we can, with the help of local authority over phone, over like meeting them by maintaining the physical distance and all, we can identify those children, and we can help them to go back to the school education. So this is something that we can also do before schools will reopen. But I mean, I think a lot of importance and a lot of work can be done on preparing ourselves, preparing the school, preparing the teachers, preparing building teachers' capacity on different things. Because when I visit school, sometimes I ask teacher, can you explain me some of the learning outcomes? And a lot of teachers are, I'm sorry to say that, but a lot of teachers are just not aware about the learning outcomes. We talk a lot about कि हमें learning outcomes achieve करना, state का learning outcome achieve करना है, but in reality, lot of teachers either they are not aware or they have not understood the learning outcomes. And likewise, we can also build their capacity to use assessment as a tool to understand what children have learned, what they have not learned, and how we can fill those gaps in our teaching learning processes. For instance, if you find out that I have not learned certain competencies, then my job is not completed there. I should spend more time with these children. I think I can group them together and try to build those competencies which they have not learned in the classroom. So these are some of the key takeaways that we can take from new education policy 2020. which and we can work towards them before the schools will reopen. Again, I would state this, that is the best time to do thorough planning, to prepare ourselves, to prepare teachers, to prepare parents, to prepare children. So once the school will reopen, they will come and you will be prepared, and we would be able to achieve great things. We will be able to ensure good quality education for all children. Yeah. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, then the house is open for the question answers round. Any questions? Hmm. Any questions, participants? No? All right, thank you so much. I'll be sharing this presentation and the document that I have shown, the new education policy documents. You can go through it very critically also, and you can also, there are a lot of takeaways also in this policy document, which you can implement in your school, model school, school of excellence, to ensure that all children get better education, good quality education. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Shika. Thank you very much. So, all the participants, please join the next session. Just I am starting the next link. Please join through that link. Okay, thank you.